The alarm bells rang across the Kepler 442 system like thunder in space. Red lights flashed on every ship, every station, every monitoring post scattered throughout the star system. Something big had just appeared without warning. Admiral Tae-min stood on the bridge of his massive warship, the Star of Unity. His dark eyes stared at the main screen where a new ship floated in the black void of space. The vessel was unlike anything he had ever seen before. It was long and sleek, built like a knife meant for cutting. Strange symbols covered its dark hull, and weapons pointed out from every surface. "Sir, the ship appeared 3 minutes ago," reported Lieutenant Kyung-ho from his station. His voice was tight with worry. "It came out of hyperspace without any warning signals, no identification codes, no requests for entry permits." Tae-min nodded slowly. In his 20 years of military service, he had never seen a ship just appear in Coalition space without following proper procedures. Every vessel in the galaxy followed the same rules. They sent signals ahead of time. They requested permission to enter. They identified themselves clearly. This ship had done none of that. "What do our scanners tell us about it?" Tae-min asked. Captain Yuna looked up from her tactical station. She was the best ship analyst in the Coalition fleet, able to identify any vessel just by looking at its shape and energy readings. But now her face showed confusion. "Sir, I have never seen anything like this before," she said. "The ship is about 800 meters long. It has energy shields that are somehow different from ours. The weapons, I count at least 40 weapon ports, but I cannot identify what type they are." Tae-min felt a cold chill run down his spine. The Coalition had records of every ship design from every known species in the galaxy. Their database contained information about thousands of different vessels from hundreds of different worlds. If Yuna could not identify this ship, it meant only one thing. "Unknown contact, this is Admiral Tae-min of the Galactic Coalition ship Star of Unity." He spoke into his communication system. "You have entered Coalition space without authorization. Please identify yourself immediately and state your purpose." Silence filled the bridge. Everyone waited for a response. Seconds turned into minutes, but the strange ship remained quiet. "Try again," Tae-min ordered. "Use all standard frequencies." The communications officer, Ensign Boram, worked frantically at her station. She sent the same message in 12 different languages and on 20 different radio frequencies. Still, no answer came from the mysterious vessel. "Sir?" Yuna called out, her voice suddenly urgent. "The ship is moving." On the main screen, they watched as the unknown vessel began to glide through space with smooth, controlled movements. It was not heading toward any of their ships or stations. Instead, it seemed to be scanning everything in the system. "It is pointing sensors at our military bases," reported Kyung-ho. "The scans are incredibly powerful. They are penetrating our shield systems like they are not even there." Tae-min clenched his fists. This was more than just an unauthorized entry. This was intelligence gathering. Someone was studying their defenses, learning about their weapons and ship positions. "Sound general alert throughout the system," he commanded. "All ships are to move to defensive positions. Prepare for possible hostile action." The bridge filled with activity as officers carried out his orders. Messages flew between ships as the Coalition fleet began to move into battle formation. Weapon systems came online. Shield generators powered up to full strength. But the strange ship continued its scanning as if nothing had changed. It moved from one military installation to another with calm precision. Its sensors swept over ammunition depots, shield generators, and weapon platforms. Whatever information it wanted, it was taking without permission. Dr. Eun-jung arrived on the bridge 20 minutes later. She was the Coalition's top expert on alien species and unknown technologies. Her gray hair was messy from running, and her breathing was heavy. "Admiral, I have reviewed all our records," she said between breaths. "This ship design does not match anything in our database. The metal appears to be some kind of advanced alloy we have never seen. The energy signatures are completely foreign." "Could it be a new species?" Tae-min asked. "Possible," Eun-jung replied, "but unlikely. We have contact with every known spacefaring civilization in this part of the galaxy. If this were a new species, we should have detected their radio signals or seen signs of their technology before now." Yuna suddenly straightened at her station. Sir, I am detecting something else. The ship's movements are not random. It is following a specific pattern. What kind of pattern? It is scanning our installations in order of military importance. First the main fleet base, then the ammunition storage facilities. Now it is moving toward our communication relay stations. This is not exploration. This is military reconnaissance. The implications hit Taemin like a physical blow. Someone was preparing for war. Someone with technology they had never seen before was gathering intelligence about coalition defenses. But who? Sir? Borum called from communications. I am receiving a transmission. From the unknown ship? No, sir. From Coalition Command on Centauri Prime. They want to know why our defense network activated without their authorization. Taemin almost laughed despite the serious situation. Coalition Command was upset about unauthorized alarm signals, while an unknown warship was scanning their military secrets. Tell them we have an unidentified vessel in our system conducting unauthorized intelligence gathering, he said. Request immediate backup from the nearest battle group. As Boram sent the message, the unknown ship completed its scan of the communication stations and began moving toward the system's outer edge. It was preparing to leave. Sir, should we try to stop it? Asked Yuna. Taemin considered the question carefully. They had 5 ships in the immediate area. The unknown vessel was alone. But something about the sleek warship made him nervous. Its confidence was unsettling. It had entered their space, scanned their defenses, and ignored their demands without showing any fear. Maintain distance but follow it, he decided. Do not engage unless it makes hostile moves. I want to see what it does next. The coalition ships kept pace with the unknown vessel as it moved toward the edge of the system. Just before it reached the hyperspace jump point, the mysterious ship stopped. For a long moment it hung motionless in space. Then it was gone. In the blink of an eye, the vessel vanished into hyperspace, leaving only empty space and a lot of unanswered questions. Taemin stared at the empty space where the ship had been. In 30 minutes, everything had changed. Someone new had entered their galaxy. Someone with advanced technology and military intentions. The real question was not who they were, but when they would return. 3 days passed before the unknown ship returned. This time it appeared directly above the main coalition fleet base, close enough that defensive weapons could target it easily. Admiral Taemin received the alert while eating breakfast in his quarters. Sir, the unidentified vessel has returned, Lieutenant Kyung-ho reported over the communication system. It is holding position exactly 1,000 kilometers above the base. Taemin rushed to the bridge, still pulling on his uniform jacket. When he arrived, he found his crew staring at the main screen in amazement. The mysterious ship hung in space like a dark sword pointed at their hearts. Has it made any hostile moves? He asked. No, sir, replied Captain Yuna. It appeared and stopped. It has not moved since then. No scanning activity this time. It is waiting for something, observed Dr. Yoon-jung, who had remained on the bridge since the first encounter. This positioning is deliberate, close enough to be threatening, but not close enough to trigger automatic defenses. Taemin nodded. Someone aboard that ship understood coalition military procedures very well. Too well for comfort. Send the standard first contact message, he ordered. All languages, all frequencies. Diplomatic attaché Jin Woo had arrived from the diplomatic corps specifically for this situation. He was a tall, thin man with nervous habits, but he spoke 17 different languages fluently. He stepped forward to the communications station. Unknown vessel, this is Jin Woo of the Galactic Coalition Diplomatic Corps, he began in Coalition Standard. We come in peace and wish to establish friendly communication with your people. He repeated the message in Altarian, then Zebulon Prime Common, then Ancient Regelian. He worked through every major galactic language, then the minor ones, then even the dead languages that some species still used for ceremonial purposes. On the 15th language, something happened. Coalition Vessel Star of Unity. This is Commander Do Hyun of the Terran Defense Force ship Soul's Vengeance. We acknowledge your communication. The voice that came through the speakers was clear and strong, speaking perfect Coalition standard, but the accent was strange. Unlike anything Jinwoo had heard before, the words were pronounced correctly, but with a rhythm and tone that seemed foreign. Everyone on the bridge froze. Jinwoo's mouth opened in shock. Dr. Yoon-jung dropped the data pad she was holding. Even Admiral Taemin felt his breath catch in his throat. "Did he say Terran?" whispered Yuna. "That is impossible," Yoon-jung said, but her voice shook as she spoke. Terran meant human. Everyone in the coalition knew the story of the humans. They had been a minor species from a small world called Earth. Their technology was basic. Their military was weak. Their political influence was almost nothing. 200 years ago, their home planet had become uninhabitable due to some kind of environmental disaster. The few human colonies scattered throughout space had been abandoned. The species had simply disappeared from galactic civilization. Most people assumed they had died out completely. "Commander Do-hyun," Jinwoo said carefully. "Did you say Terran?" "Defense Force? That is correct," came the reply. "We are humans. I believe you call us Terrans in your historical records." The bridge fell completely silent. Taemin felt like the universe had suddenly become a different place. Humans were supposed to be extinct. They were supposed to be a footnote in galactic history, a minor species that could not adapt to the challenges of space civilization. "Commander," Jinwoo continued, his training helping him stay calm despite his shock. "Our records show that the human species suffered environmental catastrophe on their homeworld approximately 2 centuries ago. We believed your people had. That is, we thought. You thought we were dead." Do-hyun finished the sentence. His voice carried a note of dark amusement. "We understand your confusion. We have been absent from galactic affairs for some time." Dr. Yoon-jung stepped forward. "Commander Do-hyun, I am Dr. Yoon-jung, Coalition Xenobiologist. May I ask where your people have been for the past 200 years? "Surviving," came the simple reply. "Learning, preparing." "Preparing for what?" asked Taemin. There was a long pause before Do-hyun answered. "Preparing to reclaim what was taken from us." The word sent a chill through everyone on the bridge. Taemin exchanged worried glances with his officers. This did not sound like a peaceful reunion. "Commander," Jinwoo said carefully, "the Coalition has no record of taking anything from the human species. Your homeworld became uninhabitable due to natural environmental factors. The Coalition provided assistance with evacuation efforts." Another pause. When Do-hyun spoke again, his voice was colder. "Your records are incomplete, Diplomat Jinwoo. We have different information about what happened to Earth." "Perhaps we could arrange a meeting," Jinwoo suggested. "Face-to-face communication might help clear up any misunderstandings." "There are no misunderstandings," Do-hyun replied. "We know exactly what happened. The question is whether the Coalition is prepared to acknowledge its role in those events." Taemin decided to take control of the conversation. "Commander Do-hyun, this is Admiral Taemin. What exactly are you demanding?" "We demand the immediate evacuation of all non-human military personnel from this system," Do-hyun said without hesitation. "We also demand formal acknowledgement of human territorial claims to all systems that were historically ours." "That is impossible," Taemin replied. "This system has been under Coalition protection for over a century. Millions of people live here. We cannot simply evacuate an entire star system." "Admiral," Do-hyun's voice became even colder, "you have 72 hours to comply with our demands. After that time, we will take appropriate defensive measures." "Are you threatening us?" Taemin asked. "We are informing you of our intentions," Do-hyun corrected. "The Coalition has 72 hours to begin evacuation procedures. This is not a negotiation." "One ship cannot force an entire star system to evacuate," Yuna said, speaking for the first time. "You are correct, Captain Yuna," Do-hyun replied, somehow knowing her name and rank. "One ship cannot accomplish such a task. Fortunately, Seoul's vengeance is not alone." The main screen suddenly lit up with new contacts. Ships were appearing throughout the system, dropping out of hyperspace at multiple locations. Not just 1 or 2 ships, but dozens of them, all with the same sleek predatory design as Seoul's vengeance. 37 ships, Kyung-ho reported in a shaky voice. All unknown design, all heavily armed. As I said, Do-hyun continued, you have 72 hours. We suggest you use that time wisely. The communication channel closed, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Taemin looked at the tactical display showing the human ships positioned throughout his system. Each vessel was exactly where it needed to be to control space traffic and military movements. The positioning was perfect, calculated with precision that spoke of careful planning. Sir, Yuna said quietly, how did they know our names and ranks? It was a good question. Do-hyun had addressed her by name and title without any introduction. That meant the humans had detailed intelligence about coalition personnel. Dr. Yoon-jung, Taemin said, I want you to review every piece of historical data we have about the human evacuation. Find out what really happened 200 years ago. Yes, sir, she replied, already heading toward the exit. Jin-woo, contact Coalition Command immediately. Tell them we have a situation that requires the highest level of attention. As his officers scattered to carry out their orders, Taemin remained on the bridge, staring at the tactical display. 37 human ships controlled his system, and their commander was demanding the evacuation of millions of people. The worst part was that he had no idea how to stop them. Admiral Taemin had made his decision. After 18 hours of emergency meetings with Coalition Command, the orders were clear. The human ships would be captured or destroyed. No single species would be allowed to make demands against the entire Galactic Coalition. Battle Group 7 is in position, reported Captain Yuna from her tactical station. 12 ships total. We have them completely surrounded. Taemin nodded grimly. The Soul's Vengeance floated alone in space, separated from the other human vessels. It was the perfect target for their operation. If they could capture the command ship and its crew, the other human vessels might surrender without a fight. Sir, Lieutenant Kyung-ho said nervously, are we sure about this? The human ships have not made any aggressive moves yet. They invaded our space and made demands, Taemin replied. That is aggressive enough. We cannot allow this precedent to stand. Dr. Yoon-jung stood near the back of the bridge, having requested permission to observe the engagement. Her research into human history had raised disturbing questions, but there was no time for detailed investigation now. All ships report ready, Yuna announced. Weapons charged, shields at maximum, boarding pods prepared for capture operations. Taemin took a deep breath. He had been in many battles during his career, but something about this felt different. The human ship sat motionless in space, showing no signs of preparing for combat. It seemed almost patient. Open a channel to Commander. Do-hyun, he ordered. Channel open, sir. Commander Do-hyun, this is Admiral Taemin. You are surrounded by coalition forces. Surrender your vessel immediately and prepare to be boarded. The response came quickly. Admiral, we warned you about the consequences of non-compliance. Your 72 hours are not yet complete. The deadline is meaningless, Taemin replied. The coalition does not negotiate with invaders. Surrender now or face the consequences. There was a pause before Do-hyun spoke again. When he did, his voice carried a note of sadness. Admiral, you are making a mistake. Our preference is for peaceful resolution. Please reconsider. The time for talk is over, Taemin declared. You have 30 seconds to surrender. As you wish, Do-hyun replied quietly. We will defend ourselves. The channel closed. Taemin waited for the 30 seconds to pass, then gave the order that would change everything. All ships, commence. Attack. Disable the enemy vessel. Minimize damage to life support systems. What happened next would be studied in military academies for years to come. The Soul's Vengeance moved like a living creature. As soon as the coalition ships opened fire, the human vessel began to dance through space with impossible grace. Laser beams that should have hit their target passed harmlessly through empty space. Missile salvos that were perfectly aimed somehow missed their mark entirely. What is happening? Taemin shouted over the noise of battle alerts. Why are we not hitting the target? Sir, the human ship is moving with precision I have never seen before, Yuna replied, her voice filled with amazement. It is predicting our firing patterns and moving out of the way before our weapons even fire. The Soul's vengeance was not just avoiding their attacks, it was fighting back with terrifying efficiency. Beams of energy lanced out from the human ship, striking coalition vessels with perfect accuracy. But these were not killing shots. Instead, the human weapons seemed designed to disable rather than destroy. The Courageous is reporting total systems failure, Kyung-ho announced. Weapons offline, engines offline, but life support is functioning normally. The Defender is also disabled, came another report. No casualties, but the ship is completely powerless. One by one, the coalition ships found themselves helpless. The human weapons shut down their systems with surgical precision, leaving the crews alive but unable to fight. It was like watching a master surgeon perform an operation, cutting exactly what needed to be cut while leaving everything else untouched. Lieutenant Kyung-ho launched his fighter squadron in a desperate attempt to overwhelm the human ship with numbers. 20 small, fast fighters should have been able to surround and disable any single target. Instead, Kyung-ho watched in horror as his pilots reported the same thing over and over again. Lead 1, my weapons are not responding. Lead 2, my targeting system is completely confused. Lead 3, my fighter is shutting down. I repeat, my fighter is shutting down. The human ship had somehow disabled an entire squadron of fighters without firing a single shot. The pilots were forced to eject and wait for rescue as their small craft became floating debris. How are they doing this? Tai-min demanded. Dr. Yoon-jung stepped forward, her face pale with understanding. Admiral, I believe they are using some form of electronic warfare we have never encountered. They are not just predicting our attacks, they are taking control of our systems. That is impossible, Yuna protested. Our systems are protected by the most advanced security protocols in the galaxy. Apparently not advanced enough, Yoon-jung replied grimly. The battle, if it could even be called that, lasted exactly 17 minutes. When it was over, 11 of the 12 coalition ships floated helplessly in space. Only the Star of Unity remained functional, and Tai-min suspected that was because the humans wanted someone left to carry a message. Admiral, Do-hyun's voice came through the communications system. We take no pleasure in this demonstration. Your crews are unharmed, and emergency life support has been activated on all disabled vessels. Rescue ships can collect them at any time. Tai-min stared at the tactical display in disbelief. His entire battle group had been neutralized without a single casualty on either side. The human technology was not just advanced, it was so far beyond coalition capabilities that the fight had been completely one-sided. How? He asked simply. We have had 200 years to learn and prepare, Do-hyun replied. Your people forgot about us, but we never forgot about you. We studied your technology, your tactics, your weaknesses. We knew this day would come. What do you want from us? We want what was taken from us, Do-hyun said. Nothing more, nothing less. The coalition displaced our people and claimed our worlds. Now we have returned to reclaim them. But your homeworld became uninhabitable, Tai-min protested. The environmental damage was natural. The coalition provided assistance with evacuation. Admiral, Do-hyun's voice became cold again. Your records are lies. We know the truth about what happened to Earth. We know who was responsible. And we know why the coalition helped cover it up. Before Tai-min could respond, new contacts appeared on his tactical display. More human ships were dropping out of hyperspace throughout the system, not dozens this time, but hundreds. Admiral, Do-hyun continued, your reinforcements from the neighboring systems will arrive in approximately 6 hours. When they do, they will find the Kepler 442 system under new management. We suggest you contact your superiors and inform them that the situation has changed. Changed how? The humans are back, Admiral, and we are no longer the weak, scattered species you remember. We suggest the coalition prepare for a very different kind of relationship with us. The Soul's vengeance began moving away from the disabled coalition ships, heading toward the central planet of the system. Other human vessels were already taking positions around the major space stations and orbital facilities. Taimin sat down, heavily in his command chair, feeling the weight of complete defeat. His superior technology, his numerical advantage, his military training, none of it had mattered. The humans had outfought him so completely that it seemed like adults dealing with children. "Sir," Una said quietly, "what are your orders?" Taimin looked at the hundreds of human ships now controlling his system. Whatever had happened to the human species during their 2-century absence, they had returned as something far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. "Contact Coalition Command," he said finally. "Tell them we need to talk." Intelligence Officer He Jin had been working without sleep for 3 days straight. Her small office aboard the Coalition Intelligence Headquarters was covered with data pads, holographic displays, and empty coffee cups. The reports coming in from across Coalition space painted a picture that terrified her. "Computer, display all reported human ship sightings from the past 6 months," she commanded. The room filled with a 3-dimensional map of Coalition territory. Red dots appeared throughout the display, each one representing a confirmed sighting of unknown vessels that matched the design of the Soul's Vengeance. There were hundreds of them, cross-reference with unexplained sensor readings and communication anomalies, she continued. More dots appeared. Yellow ones this time, scattered across the map like stars in the night sky. Each one represented something strange that had happened but could not be explained at the time. Missing surveillance data, communication systems that stopped working for brief periods, sensor networks that reported false readings. Looking at the complete picture, He Jin realized the horrible truth. The humans had been watching the Coalition for months, maybe years. They had been gathering intelligence, mapping defenses, and preparing for their return. Her door chimed and Admiral Taimin entered. He looked tired and defeated, nothing like the confident military leader she had known before the Kepler 442 incident. "What have you found?" he asked without greeting. "Humans never left," Hyejin said simply. "They have been here all along, hiding in the dark spaces between star systems. Sir, look at this data." She gestured to the holographic display. "Every major Coalition military exercise for the past 5 years shows signs of observation. Ships appearing at the edge of sensor range, then disappearing. Communication intercepts that we blamed on equipment failure. Sensor ghosts that we dismissed as normal space phenomena." Taimin studied the display grimly. "How many ships do you estimate they have?" "Based on the sighting reports, at least 3,000 vessels, possibly more." Hyejin paused, letting the number sink in. "Sir, they have built an entire fleet while we thought they were extinct." "What about their technology? How did they advance so far beyond us?" Hyejin activated another display. "I have been analyzing the weapon signatures from your encounter with the Soul's Vengeance. The energy patterns are unlike anything in our database, but there are similarities to some theoretical designs." "What kind of theoretical designs?" "The kind that scientists proposed but we never developed because they were too expensive or too difficult to manufacture," Hyejin explained. "The humans seem to have taken every advanced concept we abandoned and made them work." Captain Una arrived at that moment, carrying her own collection of data pads. She had been analyzing the tactical recordings from the battle. "Admiral, I have completed my analysis of the engagement," she reported. "The human ship did not just disable our weapons. It took complete control of our systems. Our computers were compromised at a level I did not think was possible." "Explain," Taimin ordered. "The humans inserted code into our networks that gave them access to everything. Navigation, weapons, life support, communications. For 17 minutes, our ships belonged to them. They could have destroyed us all, but they chose not to." Hyejin felt a chill run down her spine. If they could control our ships during battle, what else could they control? The question hung in the air like a dark cloud. If human technology could penetrate Coalition military systems so easily, then nothing was secure. Not communications, not navigation, not even life support. "There is something else," Una continued. "During the battle, Commander Do-hyun knew things he should not have known." He called me by name and rank without any introduction. He knew the exact arrival time of our reinforcements. He had detailed knowledge of our military procedures. Inside information, Taemin concluded. They have people inside the coalition. Hyejin nodded. Or they have been intercepting our communications for so long that they know everything about us. Sir, I have been reviewing historical records about the human evacuation from Earth. There are inconsistencies. What kind of inconsistencies? The official records say that Earth became uninhabitable due to natural environmental disasters, solar radiation increases, atmospheric changes, that sort of thing. But when I cross-referenced with geological surveys and astronomical data from that time period, none of those natural disasters actually happened. Taemin and Yuna exchanged shocked looks. Are you saying the evacuation was unnecessary? Yuna asked. I am saying the evacuation was not due to environmental problems. Hyejin replied carefully. The real reason appears to have been political. She activated a new display showing historical documents from 2 centuries ago. There was a territorial dispute between humans and the Veldoran Empire. The Veldorans wanted human-controlled systems for their expanding population. They filed claims, with the Coalition Council stating that humans were not using their territory efficiently, and the Coalition sided with the Veldorans, Taemin concluded grimly. The decision was presented as humanitarian assistance, Hyejin continued. The Coalition claimed that Earth was becoming dangerous and that human colonies were failing. They offered to help relocate human populations to safer areas. Safer areas that happened to be far from valuable territory, Yuna added. Exactly. The humans were moved to marginal systems with limited resources. When those colonies began to fail due to lack of support, the Coalition declared the human species to be in decline. Eventually, they were written off as extinct. Taemin sat down heavily in a chair. So we did not help evacuate the humans from a dying world. We forced them out so another species could take their territory. The Veldoran Empire gained control of 12 star systems that had been under human administration, Hyejin confirmed. Those systems are now some of the most prosperous in Coalition space. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. The Coalition had not just failed to help the humans. They had actively participated in displacing an entire species from their homeworlds. Where did the humans go? Yuna asked quietly. According to the records, they were supposed to settle in the Outer Rim territories, Hyejin replied. But tracking their movements becomes impossible after the first few years. Ships stopped reporting their positions. Communication with the colonies was lost. Everyone assumed they had simply died out. But they did not die out, Taemin said. They went into hiding. Sir, I believe they established settlements in the empty spaces between star systems, areas where no one would think to look for them. They built a civilization in the dark using resources from asteroids and dead planets. Another chime announced a new arrival. Dr. Yoon-jung entered, looking excited despite her exhaustion. Admiral, I have made a discovery about human technology, she announced. I have been analyzing the energy signatures from their weapons and propulsion systems. The power source is unlike anything we use. What kind of power source? Taemin asked. They appear to be using controlled micro-black holes as energy generators, Yoon-jung explained. It is a theoretical concept that we considered decades ago but never developed because it was too dangerous. How dangerous? Yuna asked. If the containment fails, the black hole could consume an entire star system, Yoon-jung replied. But if it works properly, it provides almost unlimited energy. That would explain how their ships can power such advanced weapon and defense systems. Hyejin stared at the intelligence reports scattered across her desk. The picture was becoming clearer, and it was terrifying. The humans had spent 200 years developing technologies that the Coalition had abandoned as too risky or too expensive. They had built a hidden civilization powered by forces that could destroy planets, and now they had returned to reclaim what was taken from them. Admiral, she said finally, we need to consider the possibility that the humans are not interested in negotiation. What do you mean? If they spent 2 centuries preparing for this moment, if they developed technology specifically to defeat Coalition forces, if they have been watching us and gathering intelligence for years. Then this is not a spontaneous act of aggression. This is a carefully planned campaign. Taemin looked at the holographic display showing human ship positions throughout Coalition space. You are saying this is just the beginning. I am saying that what happened at Kepler 442 was a demonstration, Heijin replied. They wanted us to know they are back. They wanted us to understand that we cannot stop them. The real question is what they plan to do next. The answer came sooner than anyone expected. Alerts began sounding throughout the intelligence center as reports flooded in from across Coalition space. Human fleets were appearing in 17 different star systems simultaneously. Not just scouting forces, but full invasion fleets. The war for the lost human worlds had begun. 3 weeks after the first encounter at Kepler 442, the largest fleet in galactic history emerged from hyperspace above the Coalition capital world of Centauri Prime. 300 human warships appeared in perfect formation, their dark hulls blocking out the stars. Admiral Taemin stood on the observation deck of Coalition Command Headquarters, watching the human fleet position itself in orbit. Each ship was a masterpiece of military engineering, sleek and deadly and beautiful in a terrifying way. They moved with the precision of a single organism, taking strategic positions that gave them complete control of the system. Sir, Captain Yuna approached with a communications device. Fleet Admiral Sung Min is requesting to speak with Coalition leadership. Taemin nodded grimly. He had been expecting this moment ever since the intelligence reports confirmed the scope of human operations across Coalition space. 17 star systems had fallen to human forces in coordinated attacks, not through destruction and death, but through technological superiority so complete that resistance was pointless. Put him through to the council chambers, Taemin ordered. All Coalition leaders need to hear this. The walk to the council chambers felt like a journey to his own execution. Representatives from 43 different species filled the massive amphitheater, all of them looking frightened and confused. The humans had shattered everything they thought they knew about galactic politics and military power. Chancellor Bae Hyun, the Coalition's senior leader, stood at the central podium. She was an elderly woman who had spent 50 years in diplomatic service, but today she looked fragile and uncertain. Citizens of the Galactic Coalition, she began, her voice echoing through the chamber. We are about to hear from Fleet Admiral Sung Min of the human forces currently occupying our capital system. The main display activated, showing the bridge of a human warship. Fleet Admiral Sung Min appeared on screen, a middle-aged man with gray hair and calm, intelligent eyes. He wore a simple black uniform with no decorations except for small rank insignia. Chancellor Bae Hyun, members of the Coalition Council, Sung Min began. I am Fleet Admiral Sung Min of the Terran Defense Force. I speak for all human forces, currently operating in Coalition space. Admiral, Chancellor Bae Hyun replied, the Coalition is prepared to discuss any grievances your people may have. Surely we can resolve this situation through peaceful negotiation. Sung Min's expression did not change. Chancellor, we are not here to negotiate. We are here to inform you of new realities. He gestured, and the display changed to show a map of Coalition space. Red areas indicated systems under human control. There were more red areas than anyone had expected. As of this moment, human forces control 23 star systems that were historically ours before the forced evacuation 2 centuries ago, Sung Min continued. We are offering safe passage to any non-human populations that wish to relocate. Transportation will be provided at no cost. You cannot simply take over inhabited star systems, protested Representative Kang Soo from the Altarian delegation. Millions of people live in those areas. They have established homes, businesses, entire civilizations. Yes, Sung Min agreed. Just as millions of humans had established homes, businesses, and civilizations before they were forced to abandon everything. The difference is that we are offering assistance with relocation. Our people received no such consideration. Dr. Yoon Jung, who had been invited to observe the proceedings, stood up from her seat in the gallery. Admiral Sung Min, our historical records indicate that the human evacuation was due to environmental disasters on your homeworlds. Sung Min's expression hardened slightly. Dr. Yoon-jung, your historical records are fabrications. Earth was never uninhabitable. Our colonies were never failing. We were removed because the Veldoran Empire wanted our territory, and the Coalition chose to support their expansion over our rights. That is a serious accusation, Chancellor Baehyun said carefully. It is a proven fact, Sung Min replied. We have complete records of the Coalition Council meetings where the decision was made. We have copies of the secret agreements between Coalition leadership and Veldoran officials. We have evidence of the propaganda campaign that portrayed our evacuation as humanitarian assistance. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. Several representatives began arguing among themselves, while others demanded to see the evidence Sung Min claimed to possess. How do you have access to classified Coalition records? Demanded Security Chief Won Jae. We have had access to Coalition communications for decades, Sung Min answered calmly. Your encryption methods are less secure than you believed. Intelligence Officer Hye Jin felt her stomach drop. If the humans had been intercepting Coalition communications for decades, they knew everything. Every military secret, every diplomatic negotiation, every political decision. What do you want from us? Chancellor Baehyun asked directly. We want acknowledgement, Sung Min replied. We want the Coalition to publicly admit its role in the forced displacement of the human species. We want reparations for 2 centuries of exile. And we want guarantee that human territorial claims will be respected going forward. And if we refuse? Asked Representative Kang Soo. Sung Min's expression became cold. Then we will take what is ours by force. You have seen demonstrations of our capabilities. Your military cannot stop us. Your technology cannot match ours. Your only choice is whether this transition happens peacefully or through conflict. Captain Yuna stood up from her observer seat. Admiral Sung Min, I was present during the engagement at Kepler 442. Your forces demonstrated remarkable restraint. No Coalition personnel were killed despite our aggressive actions. Captain Yuna. Sung Min nodded respectfully. We take no pleasure in warfare. Our preference is always for peaceful resolution, but we will not be ignored or dismissed again. What about the other species in Coalition space? Asked Chancellor Baehyun. What guarantees do they have that human expansion will not threaten their territories? We have no interest in expanding beyond our historical claims, Sung Min replied. Species that played no role in our exile have nothing to fear from us. Species that actively participated in or benefited from our displacement, they will need to make amends. The chamber fell silent as representatives considered the implications. The Veldoran Empire, which had gained the most from human displacement, was notably absent from the emergency session. Their delegation had mysteriously left the capital world just hours before the human fleet arrived. Dr. Yoon-jung stood again. Admiral, what happened to your people during the 2 centuries of exile? How did you develop such advanced technology? Sung Min's expression softened slightly. We survived, Dr. Yoon-jung. We built new homes in the spaces between the stars. We developed technologies that your species abandoned as too dangerous or too expensive. We learned to work together in ways that prosperity and comfort never taught us. But at what cost? She pressed. The cost was everything we had before, Sung Min replied quietly. Entire generations lived and died in exile, dreaming of worlds they would never see again. Children grew up hearing stories of Earth like fairy tales. We paid the price in loneliness, hardship, and loss. Intelligence Officer Hye Jin realized that she was witnessing a moment that would reshape galactic civilization. The humans had returned, not as the minor primitive species they had once been, but as a force that could challenge the entire Coalition. We will need time to consider your demands, Chancellor Baehyun said finally. You have 48 hours, Sung Min replied. After that, we will assume the Coalition has chosen conflict over cooperation. The transmission ended, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. Captain Yuna approached Admiral Taemin as representatives began filing out of the chamber. Sir, what do you think will happen? Taemin looked out through the massive windows at the human fleet hanging in space above their world. Each ship represented technology and capabilities that the Coalition could not match. Each vessel carried crews that had spent their entire lives preparing for this moment. "I think," he said slowly, "that the galaxy is about to change in ways we cannot imagine." 2 days later, Chancellor Bai Hyun announced the Coalition's acceptance of human demands. The Treaty of Sol was signed in a ceremony broadcast across galactic space, formally acknowledging the Coalition's role in human displacement and establishing reparation protocols. But more importantly, the treaty recognized humanity as an equal partner in galactic civilization. No longer would they be dismissed as a minor species. No longer would their rights be secondary to political convenience. Commander Do Hyun's final words from the Soul's Vengeance echoed across every communication channel in Coalition space. "We left as scattered survivors. We return as the storm. The age of human exile was over. The age of human power had begun.